The winter wind pressed against the glass like a whispered countdown. Inside the Whitmore mansion, chandeliers glowed above polished marble, but the light felt cold. Michael Whitmore, steel-jawed billionaire, the man who signed papers that moved cities, stood with his hands trembling for the first time in years. The hospital envelope was open. The words inside were short, brutal. 3 months, Dr. Emma Hayes had said softly. 90 days if the treatment doesn't take. Sophia sat near the window, knees to chest, forehead against the pane. 23. Pale. Brave. 90 days, she repeated, and the glass fogged with each breath. Behind her, the curtains fluttered like slow wings. The house was quiet except for the clock. Tick, tick, tick. Asking a cruel question. How do you spend the rest of forever in 90 days? Evelyn wiped her hands on her apron and paused at the doorway. She was the maid, yes, but also the woman who noticed when Sophia's smile broke, who placed tea with ginger at the exact moment the nausea rose, who folded blankets warm as morning sunlight. Miss Sophia? Her voice was gentle. Tea. Sophia turned. Just sit, she whispered. Please. They sat together. The first silent moment slipped between them like a soft shawl. From the garden, wind moved through bare branches. A jet hummed somewhere far above. Michael's world, high and untouchable, shrinking to a pinprick. Michael's phone rang. Robert, his lawyer, his fixer, his shadow. We'll get her the best, Robert said. Fly anyone in. Pay anything. What if money doesn't matter? Michael's voice cracked. He stared at the paper. What if it's the one thing I can't buy? Sir, Robert began, but the line went quiet. Michael ended the call with a shaky thumb. Dr. Emma arrived just before dusk. Her footsteps echoed in the foyer. We'll fight, she said, setting down a folder. Sophia's leukemia is aggressive, but not unbeatable. We need a donor for a bone marrow transplant. A close match. The registry is our best chance. And time. She looked at the clock. The clock looked back. Sophia tried to smile. If there's a chance, we take it. Emma nodded. We start with tests for relatives. And we test the staff as well if they consent. The more, the better. I'll do it, Evelyn said quickly. She lifted her chin. Of course. She glanced at Sophia, who gave a small, grateful nod. When the doctor left, evening folded over the house. Michael wandered the hall like a man lost in his own museum. Paintings, awards, 1,000 glossy moments that suddenly felt like antiques from another life. He stopped outside Sophia's room, heard her laugh lightly at something Evelyn said. The sound cut him open and stitched him up at the same time. Later, Sophia traced the frost on the window with a fingertip. Dad. He stood in the doorway, unsure how to move closer. Princess. The word tasted like childhood. I'll fix this. Promise me something else, she said. Promise you'll be here, not your people. You. His answer was a nod and a swallow. Me. A hush settled. Snow began to fall, fat and slow. Evelyn tucked the blanket under Sophia's chin and placed a small music box on the nightstand. A simple wooden thing, edges smoothed by time. My mother's, she murmured. If you wind it, the song feels warm, even when the world doesn't. Sophia wound it. A lullaby drifted out, thin and silver. She closed her eyes, and the song threaded through the room, through the fear, through Michael's armor. He blinked hard. Outside, the snow deepened. Inside, hope felt like a candle cupped in trembling hands. Evelyn watched the candle. She watched Michael. She watched the clock. Then, as the lullaby faded, she looked down at her fingers, scar along the knuckle, crescent pale, and whispered, too soft for anyone to hear. If fate needs an answer, I'll answer. Tick, tick, tick. The next morning, when the first test results arrived, Evelyn felt the floor tilt, because the name on the matching line was hers. Sunlight pushed through the snow clouds and laid a weak gold across the breakfast room. No one touched the croissants. The silver dome over the eggs kept the heat in and the appetite out. Michael's tie was crooked, his eyes red, his jaw set. Dr. Emma spread papers across the table like a quiet dealer in the last game on Earth. Preliminary results, she said. We'll confirm with more detailed typing, but Evelyn is a potential donor. A strong match. For a heartbeat, no one moved. The furnace sighed. A spoon clinked. Sophia's lips parted. Evelyn. She turned, a spark breaking through the gray. You. Evelyn's hands were steady, but her chest felt like thunder. If it helps you, I'll do it, she said. Whatever it takes. Michael's chair scraped. We need to talk about risks, he said, looking at Emma, not Evelyn. All of them. Emma nodded. Bone marrow donation is generally safe, but it's not trivial. Pain, fatigue, possible complications. We'd use anesthesia. She'll need time off. But for Sophia, a well-matched donor could be the difference between a door and a wall. Sophia reached for Evelyn's hand. Her fingers were cold, small. I don't know what to say. Say you'll get better, Evelyn whispered. She squeezed once like a promise. After Emma left to arrange confirmatory typing, the house breathed. The staff, who had worked in whispers for days, dared to speak in normal voices. Someone played the radio low in the kitchen. Soft jazz, a saxophone smoothing the edges of the morning. The smell of cinnamon drifted out. Still, the clock didn't stop looking. Michael walked the length of the room and back. You've been with us 4 years, he said, finally facing Evelyn. You keep this house standing. I won't let you walk into danger because I have money to burn and no miracles to buy. Evelyn's chin lifted. With respect, sir, this isn't about money. It's about a girl who laughs at dumb movies and cries at commercials where dogs find their way home. She looked at Sophia. It's about her. He swallowed. Do you have family we should call? Anyone to consult? A shadow crossed Evelyn's face and passed. No one who'll answer, she said. Sophia studied her. We've never really talked about you, she murmured. You're always taking care of everyone else. Some stories are heavy to carry, Evelyn said, and some become lighter when you put them down. Her smile was small. Maybe I'll put mine down after. As the day thinned, Evelyn changed the sheets in Sophia's room with slow, neat corners. The scent of detergent rose like clean snow. She placed a sprig of lavender on the pillow, the way her mother had done when fear couldn't sleep. Breathe, she told Sophia. In. Anchor to the little things. The taste of tea. The warmth of the sun on the window seat. The sound of your father's shoes in the hall. Sophia nodded. And your voice, she said, smiling. It sounds like Saturday mornings. They watched the light crawl across the carpet and fade. In the quiet, you could hear the music box's last note still hiding in some corner of the room, refusing to end. Evelyn touched the scar on her knuckle. She remembered another hospital, another winter, another clock. A door that didn't open in time. A little hand that let go. Later, Emma called. Confirmatory typing is back, she said, crisp and kind. Evelyn, you're a near-perfect match. We can proceed. Sophia covered her mouth. Evelyn's eyes shone. Michael sat down like a man who'd been standing too long. Emma's voice softened. We'll schedule the harvest for next week. Sophia will prepare you for transplant immediately after. Side effects will be rough. There may be fevers, mucositis, infections. We'll watch everything. Watch this, Sophia said, and took Evelyn's hand again. Watch me hold on. Night returned. Snow squeaked under tires as a car pulled away. Robert going to fetch consent forms, insurance approvals, 1,000 signatures that meant one thing. Yes. Michael stepped into the hallway and leaned against the wall like it was holding him together. He whispered, to no one and to God, please. Behind him, Evelyn closed Sophia's door gently. She stared at the wood grain as if it hid a map. Okay, she breathed. Okay. But when Evelyn returned to her small room, a letter waited on the pillow. Michael's signature at the bottom and an offer that threatened to turn her yes into ash. The letter was heavy stock, the ink deep, the edges sharp. Evelyn sat on the edge of her bed, the springs protesting softly. The words were neat, ruthless in their kindness. Evelyn, it began. I will not allow you to risk your health. Enclosed is a compensation package, a home, a stipend, full medical coverage for life. Please accept this and decline the procedure. I will find another donor. Michael Whitmore. Her throat tightened. For a moment the room blurred. Wind whispered at the window like an old friend trying to speak through glass. Evelyn folded the letter carefully and set it beside the music box she kept here. A twin to the one in Sophia's room, only cracked at the hinge. She carried the letter down the servants' stairs, where the walls were narrow and warm from the pipes. In the kitchen, John the cook stirred a pot. "You're up late," he said without looking. "Couldn't sleep," she answered. She tucked the letter into her apron, as if it might change shape there. The night was full of the small sounds that keep a big house alive. Heaters ticking, the refrigerator humming, a floorboard sighing as it remembered footsteps. Evelyn stepped into the dark dining room. Glass reflected her face like a faint ghost. She could see the head of the table where Michael sat at power breakfasts and charity dinners. The empty chair where his late wife, Claire, had once smiled. She felt a pang for a woman she'd never met and a man she did not know how to forgive. Because forgiveness was the part the letter didn't know. Years ago, when Evelyn was 20 and the world was a narrow bridge, she had a baby boy, Noah, born in a clinic owned by a Whitmore subsidiary. When his lungs failed, protocols failed too. A signature was needed. A form was missing. A specialist was available only in the morning. Morning came and he didn't. Evelyn had tried to sue. The case evaporated in paperwork and polished shoes. She left the courthouse with empty arms and a scar on her knuckle from punching a bathroom wall until it bled. Since then, she'd worked, quietly, steadily, because one must live. She'd never planned to work in a Whitmore house. Life laughs at our plans. Sometimes it laughs softly. Sometimes it howls. She found Michael in his study, staring at a fire that didn't warm him. Books lined the walls. A globe glowed in a corner. He looked up, eyes tired. "You read it," he said. "Yes," she replied. "It's not a bribe," he said quickly. "It's a shield. For you. I won't have your blood on my conscience." "My blood might become her life," Evelyn answered, voice even. "And this house already took enough from me." He flinched. "What do you mean?" She stepped closer, the fire painting her face gold. "Your company owned the clinic where my son died," she said. "Noah, 6 pounds, quiet as snowfall. He could have lived if a signature hadn't needed a sunrise." She watched the words hit him and sink. "I came here for work, not revenge. I stayed because your daughter smiles like the morning he never had." Michael's eyes shone with sudden, raw grief that seemed older than this moment. "I didn't know," he whispered. "I didn't." His breath stuttered. "Tell me everything, please." She told him, not every blade of pain, but enough to cut. The room held its breath. When she finished, he put his hand over his mouth and turned away. The fire popped. The clock tapped. Somewhere down the hall, Sophia coughed in her sleep. "I can't fix the past," he said finally, voice torn. "But I can stop this letter from making another wrong." He reached for it. Evelyn let him take it. He folded it once, twice, into a small square that looked like it could fit inside a palm. He held it over the fire, caught, curled, and became light. "I'll donate," Evelyn said. "No money will buy me out of love." Michael nodded, humbler than any billionaire in a magazine. "Thank you," he managed, "for saving my daughter, and for telling me the truth." He swallowed. "After the transplant, help me fix what broke. All of it." Before dawn, the hospital called. "We have a window," Emma said. "Harvest at noon. Transplant tomorrow. There's a storm coming. We need to move." They dressed fast, feet on cold floors. Breath fogged in the air as doors opened. In the back seat of the car, Sophia leaned her head on Evelyn's shoulder. "Scared?" "Yes," Evelyn said. "You?" "Yes." "Good," Evelyn whispered, squeezing her hand. "It means we're paying attention." They reached the hospital as the first flakes began to fall again. The sterile smell hit like déjà vu machines beeped. Shoes squeaked. The world narrowed to hallways and hope. Nurses moved like practiced kindness. Emma met them with eyes that held both science and prayer. Michael kissed his daughter's forehead. "I'll be here," he said. "Me." Evelyn changed into a gown. "See you soon, Miss Sophia," she said, smiling with her whole face. "Save me a seat by the window." Sophia laughed, fragile and bright. "I'll save you the sun." The orderlies arrived. Wheels rattled. Doors opened. As they rolled Evelyn toward the operating room, an alarm ripped the corridor. Sophia's heart monitor spiking into a frantic scream. Code blue. The words slammed into the hall and scattered hope like birds. Nurses ran. A tray rattled. Michael froze, then flew. Long strides, a door, his daughter's room. The wild, jagged dance of her heart sketching fear across the monitor. "Arrhythmia," Emma said, already moving, cool and fast. "Back off the drip. Oxygen. Ready compressions if..." The line stuttered, steadied, stuttered again. They held their breath together. It steadied once more, like a boat that had taken a hard wave and now found its keel. Evelyn, half changed into the hospital gown, stood in the doorway, fingers curled white. "Go," Emma told her, without looking up. "We need you in the or in 15. Sophia's stable now." Stable. A word like a plank across a chasm. Evelyn nodded and let herself be pulled down the hall. The lights were too bright, the air too clean. The smell of alcohol and lemon wipes cut through the snow scent drifting in whenever a door opened. Her heart hammered. She reached to her knuckle scar and pressed until pain answered the panic. In pre-op, a nurse named Emily tucked a warm blanket around her. "Think of something you love," she said. "It helps." "A lullaby," Evelyn murmured. "And a girl by a window." They put the mask over her face. The world dimmed to the sound of her own breath. She let go. When she woke, time had become slippery. Throat dry. Bones aching like bad weather. "You did great," Emily said softly. "Harvest went smoothly. Back to your room to rest." "What about Sophia?" Evelyn croaked. "Transplant is in an hour," Emily said. "They call it day 0. The day everything starts again." Snow thickened on the window ledge as orderlies wheeled Evelyn past a waiting area where Michael sat with elbows on knees, head in hands. He looked up. His face held 100 storms. "Thank you," he whispered as she passed. The words broke. "Thank you." In Sophia's room, preparations were a kind of sacred choreography. Sterile field. Central line. Bag of cells, ruby red, like a small captured sunset. The room hushed as it dripped. Drip, drip. A new beginning entering, drop by drop, through a clear tube into a girl with 90 days on paper and something larger in her eyes. Evelyn lay in her bed 2 floors up, the ache blooming and fading in waves. Through the door she heard a volunteer push a cart down the hall. The cart squeaked in time with a distant TV. She closed her eyes and saw the music box, saw Sophia winding it, saw tiny ballerinas she'd never owned twirling inside imagined wood. "Let her be okay," she said to the ceiling, the tiles, the universe. "I'll carry the pain. Just let her be okay." Michael stood beside Sophia, fingers hovering, afraid to touch the 4 tape. "Does it hurt?" he asked. "Feels strange," she said. "Like a story being poured into me." "What story?" "The kind where the hero isn't a warrior," Sophia murmured, lids heavy. "She's a maid with a lullaby." He bowed his head. The man who had spoken on stages and closed deals with a smile stood quiet as a prayer. He thought of boardrooms and signatures and policies he hadn't read. He thought of Noah. He thought of letters burnable and letters indelible. When he looked up, he found Emma watching him with human eyes. "When this is over," he said, "I'm changing everything." "Start with today," she replied. "Sit." Hold her hand. He did. Hours stretched like elastic. The bag emptied. The line cleared. "That's it," Emma said softly. "Now we wait for engraftment." "How long?" Michael asked. "Days. Sometimes weeks." She glanced at the monitor. "There will be fevers. Scares. Don't run from them." Evening. Snow and city light and the quiet hum of machines. Sophia dozed. Michael's phone buzzed. A message from Robert with policy drafts already rewritten. Funds reallocated. A new emergency signature protocol named the Noah Rule. He swallowed a stone of grief and typed, "Do it now." Upstairs, Evelyn swung her legs over the bed. The nurse protested. Evelyn smiled. "Just to the door." She shuffled to the threshold and peered down the hall. A window framed the snow like a painting. She pressed her forehead to the glass. It was cold and honest. Behind her, footsteps approached. "Michael, you should be resting," he said. "I am," she lied with a smile. "By worrying in a different place." He stood beside her. Two reflections, pale and tired. "I kept my promise today," he said quietly. "I stayed." She glanced up. "Good." They didn't speak for a while. Silence warmed, like a small room with a fire that doesn't crackle, just glows. Somewhere, a child laughed and a nurse answered, "Shoo, sleepy time." Snow brushed the glass. Time folded its wings and sat. On day 7, the fever came like a thief at midnight. Sophia's temperature climbing, counts falling, the line between miracle and goodbye thinning to a whisper. Night nurses moved in quick, soft arcs. Cold cloths, antibiotics clicking into clear lines. Monitors beeped like anxious birds. Michael stood with a cup of coffee that had gone cold in his hand, staring at a number that refused to rise. "Sepsis risk," Emma said, voice steady as ballast. "We're throwing everything at it." Sophia shivered. Her lips were dry petals. "Dad." Her voice was a paper kite. "I'm here," he said, and the words were a rope. Evelyn wasn't supposed to leave her floor. She left anyway. The elevator breathed open. She moved like a secret down the hall, one hand on the wall, each step a small defiance. A nurse spotted her and opened her mouth to protest. Evelyn touched her own chest where the harvest ached and whispered, "Please." The nurse closed her mouth and looked away. Inside the room, the air was warm and scared. Michael looked up, relief and worry pulling at him like tides. "You shouldn't." "I know," Evelyn said. She stepped to Sophia's side and touched her hair the way only someone who has loved and lost knows how to touch. Like every strand is a story you're afraid to bend. "Hey, sunshine." Sophia's eyes fluttered. "You came." "Always," Evelyn said. She glanced at Emma. "May I?" Emma understood without details. 5 minutes, she said. "Keep it calm." Evelyn took the music box from the nightstand. She wound it until the key wouldn't turn. The song rose, threadbare and stubborn, spinning into corners, under chairs, into the plastic folds of curtains that hid the night. Evelyn hummed with it low and steady. Then she sang not words exactly, but the shape of words, the promise of them. A lullaby you could rest your bones inside. On discharge day, the hospital lobby smelled like coffee and hope. Emma hugged them both. "You did the hard work," she said. "Now go do the gentle work." Back at the mansion, the windows opened. Curtains breathed. The music box sat on the sill, catching sunlight. Michael gathered the staff. "From today, every Whitmore clinic will run the Noah Rule," he announced. "No life-saving care delayed by paperwork. A fund in Noah's name will pay for any family who can't. And Evelyn," he turned to her, voice breaking, "if you'll have it, be our family liaison. Not staff, family. With authority to say no to me when I forget what matters." Evelyn looked at Sophia, who nodded, eyes bright. "Yes," Evelyn said simply. That night, they ate soup at the long table like regular people. John made bread that crackled when you tore it. The wind outside was still cold, but it didn't feel mean. After, Sophia and Evelyn stood by the window and looked at the pale moon. 90 days, Sophia whispered. "We beat the clock. We changed its song," Evelyn said. Michael joined them, slipping an arm around his daughter and, after a respectful pause, around Evelyn's shoulders too. They stood like that, 3 people shaped by loss and remade by love, listening to a house that finally sounded like home. The music box clicked as it wound down. The last note lingered, then chose not to end, because some notes live on in the things we do next. Final question. If you were Michael, what promise would you make? Today, that proves love louder than power? And if you were Evelyn, what small, brave act would you keep doing long after the applause fades?